Welcome back to Plumsail Forms for SharePoint Guide. In our first video, we took a look how to design forms and provided a complete overview of the Plumsail Forms for SharePoint Designer tool. If you haven't seen it yet, there's a link in the description. And in today's video, we're going to show you how to connect SharePoint sites, lists, and libraries with the help of lookup control and list or library control. So let's dive in. Here I have SharePoint site, Sports World, and we can imagine a scenario where a regional manager would like to have a better overview of merchandise quantities, sport categories, and their availability based on the store location. So I've set up two lists, sport categories encompassing all types of sports for which they sell equipment, and merchandise with information on product type, color, stock quantity, and price. The goal is to establish parent-child relationship between these lists and incorporate lookup controls for seamless access to data from either of the lists. And for clarity, I've added parent and child to the list names. You also have the option to use document libraries instead of lists. So let's bind our lists by adding a regular SharePoint lookup field into the merchandise list, and we can name it sport category. In the select a list as a source, we pick the parent list, sport categories. Pick a column that you want to be displayed. In our case, we'll choose Sport. Click Save. And let's go back to Forms for SharePoint app and add this new lookup field to our form. As you can see, I have already designed the form using the app. I have used grid and tabs containers. First, let's refresh SharePoint fields for the Sport category field to pop up. But don't forget to save the form in order not to lose anything. Next, add another tab, and we'll call it Sport Category. Then drag and drop the SharePoint field, and we can hide the title. Click Save and tick all the versions of the form. Great, let's go back to SharePoint, refresh the page, and create a new item. For example, we can add all-day sneakers as a product, add color, stock quantity, price, and specify running as the sport. Now it's easy to associate sport with a product. Using just SharePoint settings, we have easily managed to bind parent and child lists. But how can you make the data entered in the child list show up in the parent list automatically? To accomplish this, we'll go back to Forms for SharePoint app. And we are back in our Forms for SharePoint app. So let's connect to the Sports World site and the parent list, Sport Categories. I have used accordion container to design this form. So let's add another panel and we'll call it merchandise. Next, add list to library control. Click configure. On the right-hand side in data source, select merchandise list. View field will keep all items and the lookup field select sport category. This way the control will know which line item to choose. Under General Settings in the Editing field, you can change control name, enable read-only mode, and choose inline mode that allows you to edit items inside parent list without opening the child list. You can also choose dialog mode, which launches a dialog window to create new or modify existing items. Lock column lets you lock a free selected column in place for horizontal scrolling. It also allows you to lock other columns. Last but not least, you can adjust the height of the control. And again, let's click Save and tick all the versions of the form. Great, let's check it out in SharePoint. We can add a new item, snowboard boots, and pick snowboarding as the sport. Save the item. Now let's go back to parent list and click on snowboarding. As you can see, the products are now automatically displayed on the parent list with the help of list or library control. And we're back to Plumsail Forms for SharePoint app and connected to the parent list, Sport Categories. So let's explore the capabilities of the lookup control. It's very similar to SharePoint lookup field. However, SharePoint lookup field is limited to a single site. And this is where a unique feature of the lookup control can be very useful, as it allows you to link lists or libraries from different sites within one tenant. And it stores the value in a regular text field and is displayed and behaves as a lookup in forms and list views. So let's say in our case, Sports World Company owns more than one store and they have multiple locations around the city. And the list with all the stores is located on a different SharePoint site. To demonstrate the cross-site lookup, let's add a lookup control in a new panel. And we'll call it Store Location. And we'll link it to the site called Sports World HQ. And pick store locations list, as we would like to know the sport equipment available based on the store location. Maybe particular equipment is available only in 1 or 2 stores. And now we need to save the control to either an existing column or create a new one. We'll do the latter, and let's call it store location. Selection property defines whether a user can select a single option or multiple options from the drop-down list. We'll select multiple, as certain merchandise can be available in more than one store. Operator property defines how the search is handled by the lookup control. Starts with shows items that start with the entered value, and contains shows all items that contain the entered value. This property is very useful if the list is extensive. So we'll keep starts with. Add new property allows users to add new values to the source list. A user must enter a unique value for the add a new item button to pop up. Order by property lets you select a field to display available options in a specific order. Let's select store location, which will list options in alphabetical order. And order type property determines how the data is sorted in ascending or descending order. Extra fields and expand fields can be used in more complex scenarios when you need to retrieve additional data from the source list with JavaScript. By default, only item ID and displayed fields are retrieved. The extra fields property holds data for our data select query option, and expand fields property holds data for our data expand query option. Here you need to define lookup, person, or group field names that you are getting in extra fields. But you can filter lookup items by any field on the form without JavaScript. We'll return to this property later in the video. There are also options to adjust basic properties of title and control, like width and font. But for now, let's save the form and test it out in SharePoint. We're back to the parent list, and here you can see we have our new column, store location. Let's add a new item, for example, chess. And the store location field contains all the options from the Sports World HQ site. We'll add Riverside and downtown locations. Great, click Save. And there it is, our new item with the specified locations. And now let's explore capabilities of the filter property and cascading filtration available from Plumsail Forms for SharePoint. I have created one more list with sports subcategories. It contains more granular data. For example, skiing equipment can have subcategories downhill and cross country. So in this list, we have all sports subcategories linked to the main sport categories list via a regular SharePoint lookup column. Now, when a user enters a new subcategory, they can choose a broader matching category. For example, we can add, let's say, hiking, and we'll add it as subcategory to camping, as the gear for both sports often overlaps. Next, let's go to the merchandise child list, and we'll add a regular SharePoint lookup column. We'll call it sports subcategory, and the source list and column will be sports subcategories as well. Now we have both sport category and subcategory lookups in the same list. Next, we need to go to the Forms for SharePoint app and add this lookup field to the form. Don't forget to click refresh, and new SharePoint field will pop up. We're back to our SharePoint list, and let's create a new item. For example, we can add backpack 20 liters. For color, let's select yellow, and let's add quantity and price. In the sport category, we pick camping, and in the subcategory, hiking. As you can see, the subcategory field displays all the options that are available for all categories. But what if there are more than 1,000 options? It will be very convenient to get only subcategories that fall under a specific category, right? And this is where the filter property from Plumsail Forms for SharePoint becomes very useful. So let's go back to our designer app and set up filtration. We have our merchandise child list, and on the right-hand side in the filter section, we can set up cascading filtration. So the subcategory column will show only options available for the sport category selected prior. In Depends on Property, we select Sport Category List, and it's best to match lookups by ID. In the Match to Property, again, we select Sport Category and ID. Now let's save the form and test it out in SharePoint. Okay, let's click on New Item, and let's add Trekking Boots product. Then select Camping as the main sport category, And as you can see in the sports subcategory, we have only one option, hiking. Cascading filtration allows you flexibility to set up as many subcategories as needed to effectively organize and connect different lists. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe to not miss any of the upcoming videos in the Forms for SharePoint guide series, where we'll go into detail how to work with related lists or libraries, how to create separate form sets for different Microsoft 365 and SharePoint groups, and more. If you have any questions, drop us a comment below. And in the meantime, you can test out Forms for SharePoint app with a free 30-day trial. See you soon.